Hey Lee, can you hear me?
I can.
And by the way, your picture is much better than it was. Um,
Yeah.
so, hey folks, I'm Bob at Canada's Boxing Channel, and with me today is.
I'm Lee from Inside the Distance. Some of you may know me, some of you may not. But if you follow Bob, I'm sure you'd have probably heard me, talked about running conversation. What? Yeah.
And what we're trying to do today is we're trying to do a collaboration, and we've had technical issues. Hopefully, those technical issues are being resolved, and we'll be able to get good copy on at least one of our channels. If you've not subscribed to Inside the Distance, please do. And if you've not subscribed to Canada's Boxing Channel, please do. I don't know. we never did come up with an agenda because we were effing about with the technical issues. So the only thing that's in my mind.
On the Benn Eubank point, well, that was.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Conor Benn and Chris Eubank. Now, controversial figures in British boxing. What do you think about the first fight, and what do you think about the rematch? And I'm going to sit back and listen.
Well, when the fight was announced, well, we're not talking about the failed BD test, the global thing. We won't talk about that, but a lot of people didn't like this fight. They said it was a gimmick. They said it was only happening on the fathers, which is true. But a lot of people said we don't care. We're not going to watch it. A lot of people sort of shit all over it. Didn't like the idea of it at all. I said from very early on, I was all over it. I thought it was great. I always thought it would be very good and a good fight. And I always thought it would do huge numbers, which it did. A lot of people didn't agree. The fight came along, and although it wasn't the greatest display of the fine art, and it wasn't one for the purist, it was probably one of the most entertaining fights of that year for me. I think the event was wonderful. The fight was wonderful. And then it was a very hard-fought contest. After the fight, a lot of people said, we don't need another one. We don't want to see another one. It doesn't warrant another one. Because a lot of people seem more focused on the egg stuff and all that kind of stuff. That didn't really do anything for me. Didn't need that. Didn't interest me. The fight was great, and I just think it'll be round 13. I think this will be as big. I don't think it needs the antics in the build-up press conferences. I honestly think it sells itself. A lot of people disagree. A lot of people say, "Oh, what are they going to use to sell this one?" They'll use the first one to sell this one, in my opinion, and that's all you need. Now, who do I think will win, and what do I think the result will be? After the first one, for me, there was Conor Benn, who fought with great bravery and intensity, but technically was too overawed by the occasion, wanted to take Chris Eubank's head clean off, didn't use any skill really, launching attacks from the outside, led with big overhand right hands without bringing his feet in. I think Conor Benn can be a lot better. I don't think Eubank can be any better. Does that mean Ben will win? No, because Eubank is still an actually bigger man. But I think if it's improvement from either man, I think Conor Benn's the one who can make the improvement. I think there's a lot of room. Eubank, I'm not so sure. Plus, the effects of that fight, the effects of making the weight at his age, which he struggles with, can he raise his effort to that? Can he physically produce that all over again? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair point. I must say that on the first fight, I was cheering for Chris Eubank. But I have to say that the first fight kind of sort of made me like Conor Benn more. Now I know that he's been accused of drug cheating, but I'm going to set that aside for the moment. Based just on his performance, that first fight made me a little bit of a Conor Benn fan. And I have to say that when I saw the press conference for the second fight, I also thought that Conor Benn seemed to have matured. Maybe that sounds a bit sort of patronizing, but he did seem to have matured a little bit. And I also thought it was interesting that both he and his father acknowledged that he was too emotional in the first fight. Like he just wanted to go out there and just beat the living whatever out of Chris Eubank Jr. So I also think, I think I agree with you that there's more upside to Conor Benn. He's got more room to improve. Whereas I thought Chris Eubank put on a great performance, but he was totally done. He was on his chin strap at the end of it. And I'm not sure if he can do an equal performance again, let alone improve upon it. So this time round, I would be putting, a little bit of money on Conor Benn to win.
I mean, there is a lot of people say that that if you look at the first fight and you look at the fact that Ben was that bad, and it was quite obvious to see that he was just going out there forward tear up, trying to do stuff. That was plain for him to see. If you look at the technical stuff he wasn't doing, that was obvious, and there is room to repeat that. A lot of people will say even if he can do that, he still won't get any closer to getting rid of Chris Eubank because he is so much bigger. Eubank probably punches harder in a relative sense because he's a bigger man. But if you look at how close Conor Benn got, I wouldn't say he got close to stopping him, but he did hurt Eubank on a number of occasions. Or let's say his legs were a little bit shaky, his equilibrium was gone a little bit. So he wasn't far away, was he? And he was technically quite cool, and he wasn't far away. I must say, towards the end of the fight, the last couple of rounds, the size did really start to tell for me. Ben lost, I think, the last 2 rounds quite heavily, and it looked like the bigger man being on the small man at times. There was one element of this fight that made me not want to see it again, and it probably was those last 2 rounds when Conor Benn was really taking some big punishment, and it really did look like a bigger man, as I say, being on the smaller man. But in terms of just a fight, I don't know how you could get anyone to bring. I know the purists and the elitists, the snobs, if you like, well, this is not for them. That's absolutely fine. But deny the entertainment, but you can't deny the entertainment.
Yeah, like I don't consider myself to be a really good judge of boxing. Like technically, I like to watch a good scrap. So from that perspective, it was super entertaining. I mean, no, it wasn't Shakur Stevenson level of technique, but on the other hand, I am just a fan. I've been a fan for, well over 50 years. And, for me, it's just like 2 guys going at it was a really enjoyable thing to watch. And I, like, honestly, that's the kind of fight that I appreciate more than sometimes watching a really, really technical chess match type fight. Yeah. I know that makes me a little bit of a Philistine, but it's the kind of fight I like to watch.
Yeah. My favourite fights of recent times have probably been done and Benn Beterbiev. And you've got 2 extreme ends of the scale. You've got polar opposites there. You've got the very, very highest echelon, and a fight in which, other than from a technical point of view, that it wasn't action packed. Neither of them were. The second one was a little bit more, but neither of them were wars in that sense. But they were just informing you on the edge of the seat. It was the appreciation of what you were seeing. But that and Benn Eubank were, for me, my standout, points of recent times of just pure enjoyment for totally different reasons. So it's a bit like you talk about movies, and everyone loves a great work of art, shall we say, but then we all have a good popcorn action, leave your brain at thought every now and again, don't we?
For sure.
Both.
Yeah, like, I saw, Where the Crawdads Sing, and that's a really interesting kind of film. Yeah, but I also like to watch Heat. I mean, Heat is, it's a great movie with tons of really accurate gunplay. Yeah. And it just depends what kind of mood you're in, right? But I think you're right that the Beterbiev Bivol is, one sort of bookend, and Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. is the other. By the way, on Beterbiev Bivol, do you think they're ever going to have that third rubber fight? Like, it seems that Bivol is, not that interested.
Well, there was Beterbiev said to him after, it was at the press conference for the second fight, where Beterbiev said, if it would have been the other way around, you wouldn't have given me a rematch. So this may be proven the case that.
Yeah.
Or was it Bivol that said that?
I think it was
One of
Beterbiev.
them alluded to the fact that had they won, they would have granted the rematch. Yeah, so I think Beterbiev said it about Bivol.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And he said, if you'd have won, you wouldn't have given me the rematch. And if we don't get this rematch, it'll bear out that point. I think we will. I think the money is probably better for those two facing each other than it is anywhere else. I wanted this to happen. I wanted them to have a longer break. I wanted them to have a good break before the third one. Not so long at age as Beterbiev now, but long enough that we get the best of both.
Yeah, and of course, Beterbiev is beginning to age out. Although, I mean, he's a machine, right? But Father Time waits for nobody. Hopefully, those two guys can get it on. I'd like to see a trilogy, and I would be. I don't really have a dog in the fight. I think I would be cheering a little bit for Beterbiev, but not really. I'm pretty neutral on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a massive fan of both. They're both extremely different. I picked Beterbiev for the first one. I thought it was very close. But after seeing the first one, I picked Bivol for the second one. You can go back to what the predictions, but it was very obvious to me that. And what the fight was that we had recently with Canelo and Crawford? It was obvious to me that Bivol just had more tools to rely on.
Yeah,
there was more he could do. But Beterbiev is a genius at what he does. A lot of the stuff he does is very subtle, very understated. But there is an element of one dimension about it, where Bivol has a bigger bag of tools. Ironically enough, the change that Bivol made led to him losing the first half of the second fight, and then it was down to him to change again because Beterbiev had sort of already planned what he was going to do to counter Bivol's changes. So he had to change it. He had to go into the fight differently in the first half of the fight than the first fight, and in the second half of the fight, he had to do it differently again, and he had to do that on the fly. Brilliant. But yeah, I hope we see the third one.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I'll be cheering a little bit for Beterbiev, but honestly, I don't really care. But it's like you just mentioned Canelo and Crawford. I actually picked Crawford to win, so I was
same.
Yeah, I know you did. Yeah, well, we were like the only guys on YouTube who were picking him to win. For
the same reason. Unless Canelo had just been fighting to the level of his opponents for the last few years, it was obvious that Crawford, and I said it all along, I said that the size wouldn't be that much of a factor, because if you look at Crawford in between fights and his natural weight, he probably lost a few pounds to make 168. So I never thought size was going to be a massive difference. I never thought Crawford would stop Canelo. Canelo probably having the best chin in world wrestling, and that's after a year. But again, I just thought Crawford had more tools. Canelo was sold a few hit tools over time and only left a couple in the bag. When Crawford had been accumulating tools, and that sort of showed for me. And that was why I see the same reason you picked Crawford as well.
Yeah, and it is. And Crawford actually boxed beautifully that night. Like, he did everything right. And
had things night, really.
Yeah, it was like that was actually a really good fight. I mean, I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to enjoy it because, there's so much hype. And quite often when you have so much hype, it's kind of like, meh. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good fight. I liked it very much.
I think it was. It kind of played out exactly as it should have done, because for us to get a textbook Mexican win, we've only got one Mexican, granted. But you needed Crawford to accept standing in front of Canelo all night in training all night, which he's not going to do correctly. It would mean you have to have a Canelo with enough left to have an output where he can fight for 3 minutes of every round. You can't do that. So we were always going to get that fight, weren't we? The one that we got.
Yeah, absolutely. But Crawford was very lucky later on that night. He was arrested at gunpoint. Did you see that on the news?
Really? No, I didn't know.
Yeah, well, he was driving his car around apparently erratically, and he was pulled over by I guess it was Omaha cops, and there was they saw a firearm on the front seat. They drew down on him. It could have ended really badly. Thankfully, it didn't. But yeah, he took his.
Does that count as open carry on the front seat?
What was that?
Did that count as open carry on the front seat?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. But hey, another fight that I did a video on a few days ago, and I know this is it's going to pit one of Britain's most popular fighters against the Russian Bond villain Dave Allen and Arslanbek Makhmudov, the Russian Canadian. He boxes out of Montreal, but I don't know if he's a Canadian citizen or not. But it doesn't matter. What do you think of that fight?
Some national pride in this one for you, then.
Well,
obviously supporting.
I mean, Montreal, it's in Quebec. I don't really even consider Quebec, But anyways, I'll be cheering a little bit for Dave Allen, I guess.
100%.
And I've always thought that Makhmudov should have a career in Hollywood. But how do you think that fight could go?
I mean, going back to something Dave Allen said when he fought Johnny Fisher, and you've mentioned this before, when he told Johnny Fisher in the Cards on the Table episode, he said, "You can't be better than me. You can't be any good. You haven't had enough fights. You can't be. You've not been doing it long enough." That stands for Makhmudov as well.
Yeah.
And I rewatched Makhmudov versus Ajit Kabayel again the other day. And he's very poor. Makhmudov is very poor. And sometimes with Dave not being, because Dave's bigger than he appears for a heavyweight.
Yeah.
I think he's 6'3", 6'4", big lad. But fighting them huge guys that are quite slow, it's not that much of a puzzle or work out to get inside, either take away their distance or get inside of that distance and that reach to nullify them completely. He's not slow. He's not quick. He doesn't seem to take a punch too well. Dave's a really good puncher. When Dave punches the hard and sits down on his punches, he's a really good puncher. And the other thing I noticed against Ajit Kabayel, which stood out for me, was the fact that Kabayel is a fantastic body puncher, probably the best body puncher in every division. But Dave's a fantastic body puncher as well. And it was marked to see how easy Makhmudov was hurt to the body. Even shots that didn't look like they were full or that Kabayel hadn't really sat down on. I think he threw a couple of straight right hands to the body that kind of landed right at the end. And they hurt Makhmudov. And I just think, I don't think Kabayel is any faster than Dave when Dave puts his punches together. I don't think Makhmudov is any more textbook talented or skillful than Dave is.
Right.
I think he's fitter than Dave. I think he's in better condition than Dave, and he's younger than Dave, and possibly more hungry than Dave. All of those things, yes, but on just pure ability, I'm not sure Ajit Kabayel is much better than Dave, if any. If Dave's about it, I watched an interview with Dave yesterday, and his face he's thinned out on his face. Jamie Moore says he's started for this camp where he left off at the last one.
Oh.
So I think Dave sees, and I think Dave knows that. He said after the second physical that he had more belief. He started to believe. Actually, I am probably better than what I rated myself. And he underplays himself all the time. But so, other than all the physical, the advantages that Makhmudov has, he could win. And we've seen Dave quit against,
Fraser Clark.
Fraser Clark for one. And Makhmudov is never going to box as well as Fraser Clark. Fraser Clark was sort of peppering him all night, wasn't he? If Dave wants this, Dave is good enough to win this 7 days a week and twice on Sundays. If he wants it enough. That's what I think.
Yeah, Dave Allen's biggest problem is, he's inconsistent, right? Which Dave Allen is going to show up, and he doesn't seem, well, this might sound harsh, but he doesn't seem to have the belief in himself. Sometimes.
Totally, yeah.
I really hope that he has it now. I really like the fact that Dave, because I watch Dave Allen's YouTube channel, I feel like I know him a little bit better.
The thing, we both watch Dave's YouTube channel, and you'll know that, and in interviews post the second Fisher fight, he said he had belief going into the second one, and now winning that one, he's got even more belief. And he picked Makhmudov out of the list. We don't know who the list is. But he was apparently the hardest, looked at as the hardest name on the list, and he picked that because he needed a little bit of fear, but he's got belief as well. So If Dave's telling the truth, I'd pick Dave.
Yeah,
and he's got a great chin. He's got a great chin as well.
He has a good chin. Yes, he's got some miles on the clock, but hopefully not too many. And he's been in with better opposition than Makhmudov. So I think unless Makhmudov can unleash some real bombs and stop Dave, I think Dave's got the boxing ability, the nous, And
there's also one very big factor as well for Makhmudov is that Makhmudov before that had Canelo was undefeated and believed he was a monster. Now he's been hurt, he's been stopped. How badly is that going to affect Makhmudov when Dave lands for the first time on the chin hard or to the body hard and Makhmudov gets hurt again? He's lost once now. His belief will be shattered to a degree. See, it's always easy to lose the second time when it's the first time.
But so he's lost twice because he lost against Villanello.
Oh, yes, of course he did.
Yeah. So he's that aura of invincibility, the Ivan Drago kind of thing is gone, right?
Yeah, definitely. And if it's gone outwardly to us, you imagine how much it's gone for him.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Whereas Dave Allen is like he knows his own vulnerabilities. So I think that could be a really good fight. I'm actually looking forward to that fight.
Oh, definitely. I think the other thing for Dave as well is that a lot of his wins, he's kind of just said, not tonight, not for me. He's walked in a lot of his fights, and that says something also that you could say you're a quitter. But a lot of his fights, he's not been beaten in the way that Makhmudov has. He's elected to. And you can have it. I'm going. It's that type of thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I'm looking forward to that. And the other heavyweight fights I'm looking forward to very much is one of my favorite British boxers, Fabio Wardley, against Joe Parker, who's also one of my favorite fighters. How do you think that's going to go?
See, as you said, we all love Joe Parker. I'm a massive Joe Parker fan. I'm a massive Fabio Wardley fan as well, as you know. I do look at a lot of Joseph Parker recent big wins, and on paper they're fantastic wins and they're big names. But when I look at the actual fight themselves, there's a lot of, if you look at Martin McCauley, came in, we all know how Martin McCauley came in.
Yeah.
It was never really a fight. Even though McCauley landed a couple of punches on Parker, but Parker felt. If you go back and watch that fight, McCauley landed a few shots and Parker felt them. Once he's going to, McCauley's but I just think, and against Zhilei Zhang, I thought Parker, Zhilei Zhang, I know, hits like a buck. He's got a little bit of air of creativity about him.
Yeah.
Joseph Parker has for me. He's had a lot of wars. He's been in a lot of hard fights. But you look at the McCauley fight, you look at the John A. Wyatt fight, John A. Wyatt, he wasn't there, didn't even appear to be. So that was not, they talked about Andy Lee's great tactics and what a job Joseph Parker did, but he didn't have to do anything really. Let's have a problem. So, but then if you look at Fabio Wardley, he is being beaten soundly by Justice Hooley.
Yeah.
And he done a flotch against Jermaine. Who was it Frotch knocked out in the 12th afternoon in every round?
Brain fart.
Texan. Jermaine, what's it? But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Lost every round, stopped him in the 12th, few seconds there. It was one of those things. Now, I don't think Joseph Parker is as good a pure boxer as Justice Hooley, though.
I think you might be right. Justice Hooley is actually a really, really good boxer.
Really good. Yeah. And I don't think Parker is that. I also don't like Parker's weight. They call him Big Joe Parker now, and he really is Big Joe Parker. But again, going back to that McCauley fight, he was breathing heavy after that.
Yeah. Well, he was weighing like 260 something, right? Which is way too heavy for what he should be.
I think so.
You know what struck me as interesting about Joe Parker is when he fought Deontay Wilder, he couldn't put Wilder down.
exactly. Well, he had him in the corner a few times, and he unloaded. He found it hard to land on Wilder. He missed with a lot of punches, and he landed a couple, but they didn't really have a great impact. Wilder, I think, has got a decent chin for his body type. I think he actually takes a shot pretty well for his body type. Wilder, not now, not the Jan fight. He's shot now, and that's a different story. But you know, Parker and Wardley, but I love Wardley, but as Dave says, going back to Dave's book of boxing philosophy, Wardley can't be that good. He's just not been in it long enough, and he has been. His limitations are there to see, aren't they? Which he doesn't hide it. He admits it, which is what makes it exciting, doesn't it? Because it wouldn't surprise me at all if Wardley wins, not one bit. In fact, I maybe might. Part of me wants to leave logic aside and just think Wardley's youth and aggression wins the day.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, I think Joe Parker should win. He's been in with better quality opposition. He is, I think, technically better than Wardley. And he has a lot more experience. Yeah. But part of me, purely emotionally, part of me thinks, I want to see Wardley just put Joe down. But I like them both, right? So I'm not going to be unhappy either which way.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
exactly. Same.
I instinctively, want to cheer for the underdog. And I mean, I don't have a nationality issue here. They're both
the underdog, the massive underdog, isn't he?
Yeah, I think I'd put a bet on Wardley. I mean, if somebody came to me and said, "Who do you seriously think is going to win?" I would say, I think Joe Parker's going to win. I think Joe Parker's going to win on points.
Yeah.
But part of me wants to see, Wardley pull it off, right?
I mean, it's a massive step up, Joseph Parker from Fraser Clark, Justice Hooney, fantastic boxer, pure boxer, but you need a lot more than that in professional boxing. But it's a massive step up to Joseph Parker. But Joseph Parker has been flattered by results, if that's possible, recently. Not taking anything away from him. Massive Joseph Parker fan. I'm like you. I don't really have a favourite. I like them both. But it would be crazy if Wardley just...
Yeah, like how far can Wardley go, right? Before we quit, because I see we're running into a 30-minute limit here. I see that Moses Itauma has skipped or ducked or said no to a fight against Frank Sanchez, the Cuban. Maybe that was smart on his part, but on the other hand, I read and I hear about it. It's hard for Moses Itauma to get an opponent. Nobody wants to fight Moses Itauma. But then he sort of ducked Frank Sanchez. What do you think of that?
They must have. I really don't know what all the reasons are. For me, I suppose we've just got to say that there's a kind of a limit of what they think is right for now. And I suppose Sanchez just fell just slightly north of that, and he just considered it. I don't mind that. We all said that we didn't want to see Mo flush, so they're not flushing him. So I do think Sanchez is a fight that Mo. I'd pick it down to him.
The thing is, though, Moses has been sort of running the mouth a little bit about wanting to fight Usyk. Well, if you want to fight Usyk. And you're ducking Frank Sanchez. It's hard to match those up, right?
Well, Frank did say that they had other opponents in mind, and that didn't come to fruition for whatever reason. So you don't know if there's a roadmap. You don't know if there's an opponent they have in mind. And if we take Sanchez, we're going to miss that boat, and that's the boat we really want.
Yeah.
I always say boxing. A successful career is as much about being a fantastic fighter, but also about plotting the right course, charting the right course for your career. That's almost as important.
And Frank Warren can definitely guide him, right? That is,
definitely. Whatever you want to say about Frank, he doesn't really get heavyweight career that long, does he?
No, he doesn't. He gets them right. It just does look a little bit like it's not good publicity, maybe. For those people who say that Moses Itauma is all hype, they will look to this and say, "See, that proves it." But I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I don't know how good Moses Itauma is. I'd like to see him in with live dogs, and maybe we'll find out one day.
I mean, we could. It's there to see how talented he is, how good technically he is. That's there to see. That doesn't always mean that's going to equate itself to a really, successful star career, does it?
No.
All the talent in the world doesn't always mean you're going to do it. We can see that when he's got all the tools. What we can see, we don't know about the gut check yet. We don't know about the chin. But from what we've seen, all the boxes are ticked so far. But we'll see.
I'd like to see him in with. I wanted to see him in with Filip Hrgović, but Hrgović has declined that. I'd like to see him in with David Adeleye. I think he would beat David Adeleye, but David Adeleye would come to fight, and
he would. But I think they're trying to repackage Adeleye at the moment.
Yeah,
I don't think they want to do out Adeleye again, because that would kind of like he'd be game over, wouldn't it? When he's still got enough to be sort of repackaged and put on a pathway. Hrgović was my choice. Franklin, I think, is a good fight. Hrgović is the one I wanted.
Yeah, that's what I wanted as well. Because if Moses could beat Hrgović, then that to me would say, "Oh right, he is the real deal." So
yeah. I mean, the thing with Hrgović is quite strange to see the fact that we've both said that. We see Hrgović as kind of a gatekeeper now already.
Yeah, exactly. He's not really that sort of elite level contender. He's elite
level gatekeeper.
He's a very strong gatekeeper. Like if you can get past Hrgović, then you're talking. But
if you get past Hrgović, you can basically have a shot.
Oh yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
We got a few seconds left. I hate to mention it. Jake Paul and Tank Davis. It's not boxing. What the fuck is that?
I don't know what kind of world this works in. The sort of press conference where they stood there and Jake was getting. And Tank had a look on his face and an expression that I'm not sure he realises what's going on yet completely. It's just bizarre, absolutely bizarre. If we thought Tyson Paul was bad, I mean, but a lot of people are picking Tank to stop him.
Well, I mean, I don't even know what to say. I don't know if I should cover it on my channel. I don't know. I just don't know.
I mean, is it as weird as James DeGale in BKFC last week?
Yeah, I didn't cover that. I just thought at some point, I can't talk about things. It's like I'm
you got to draw the line somewhere.
Because I'm not interested, right? So if I'm not interested, I can't. I don't know if people who subscribe to my channel are interested.
I mean, for all I don't know what sort of numbers that will do, because Tank isn't a Mike Tyson name. I mean, what I mean is he's certainly not a crosser. He's not a house call. Tank is almost a trade fighter.
Yeah,
he's not many casuals know who he is. So I'm not sure what sort of numbers that does. Probably huge, but I'm not going to watch it. You're not going to watch it. I'll have highlights on YouTube the next day.
Yeah, same here.
Whatever, but that'll be as far as I go.
Yeah, I'm not buying it because I'm not interested, and it doesn't have a great undercard. It's got an interesting undercard, but they're mostly female fighters, which, with all respect to those athletes, I can't afford and don't want to pay to watch it. So I'll pick up highlights next day.
And the only reason I watch the highlights the next day will be the same reason as if when I'm on the motorway and there's a really bad RTA in the other lane, but I have a look.
Yeah.
It's just that.
Yeah, you rubberneck.
That freak. That innate thing in humans that we want to see something really obscene and nasty, and that'll be the same reason I watch the highlights.
You know, like if I'm watching Jake Paul, I want to see Jake Paul and like Francis Ngannou or something like that, right?
Giant attire.
Oh, that would be like watching a public execution.
But what a joyous event that would be.
And I would pay to see that.
And, not taking away what Jake has done for the women's game and the money he's paying women's fighters. That's great.
As a promoter, he's fabulous. Yeah. Anyways, my friend, let's shut this down. Please subscribe to both of our channels, but Inside the Distance, Canada's boxing channel. It's been fun. Lee, it's always good to chat with you, man. And
thank you, sir. Thanks for having me on.
Catch you on the next one. Cheers, brother.
Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.